In a world where I have assumed the guise of a delicate and unassuming heiress, the protagonist has ensnared me in a heart-reading system to unveil my true nature. She accuses me of pilfering her exquisite jewels. I muse to myself, "Ah, how I long for barbecue delights. Perhaps I shall seek out Minxie and persuade him to treat me." The genuine heiress raises an eyebrow in confusion. My fiancé intends to defend her honor. I remark, "That watch in your possession, esteemed one, possesses a certain allure. Perhaps I shall procure a similar one for Minxie later." My fiancé is taken aback. Subsequently, I am denounced for my ostensible air of superiority. The true heiress retorts, "No, she genuinely remains indifferent. Her sole concern lies with her ruffian accomplice, Minxie." What the onlookers deem a mere ruffian is, in truth, the heir of the Ming family, to which Minxie responds with incredulity. What of it if my wife holds me in high regard? Upon my arrival, I found myself kneeling upon the cold marble floor of the Gu family's living room. The chill of the stone gnawed at my knees, while the air was infused with the fragrance of incense and the distinctive coolness that emanates from an opened jewelry box. Before me stood the true heiress, Gu Wanqing, adorned in a meticulously tailored princess gown, her eyes glistening like those of a frightened rabbit, clutching a shattered diamond earring in her hand. This was a limited edition piece she had recently acquired from an overseas auction, and at this moment, she accused me of stealing its accompanying necklace. "Lin Wei, why would you do such a thing?" Gu Wanqing's voice trembled with emotion, each word imbued with icy bitterness. "My parents took you in for 15 years, and now that I have returned, you cannot tolerate my presence?" The surrounding servants averted their gazes, though their eyes betrayed their anticipation of the unfolding drama. Mr. and Mrs. Gu sat upon the sofa, their expressions grim, clearly having believed their daughter's claims. In their eyes, the adopted daughter, was meant to embody a modest and unpretentious demeanor, merely serving to highlight the presence of the recently reclaimed true heiress. Docile, understanding, and tinged with a hint of unremarkable timidity, only I am aware that the original owner of this body had long been worn down by Gu Wanqing's covert machinations, nearly losing her life in the process. Just yesterday, she had drawn her last breath, and I, the author of this unraveling narrative, had found myself thrust into her life, still reeling from the influx of memories. Coincidentally, both she and I shared a friend named Minxie, and every detail of our lives mirrored one another. How delightful it is to traverse into a new realm with a companion. Even if this Minxie may not be the same as the one I once knew, but such distinctions are trivial. What truly matters is that the conversation has strayed from its course. At this moment, Gu Wanqing gazes at me with an air of triumph. I can discern the barely concealed smirk at the corners of her lips. She is convinced that I will, like the original owner, merely redden my eyes and utter, "It was not I," only to find myself ensnared in a web of suspicion. What is more alarming is that upon my arrival, a chilling mechanical voice echoed in my mind. Heart-reading system has been bound. Host, Gu Wanqing. Bound subject, Lin Wei. Gu Wanqing can access Lin Wei's surface thoughts in real time. How splendid. This is the protagonist's bespoke mechanism, crafted to swiftly expose my facade of false modesty. As I gazed upon Gu Wanqing's tear-streaked visage, my heart remained utterly unperturbed, even tinged with a hint of hunger. Having traversed here the previous night without the opportunity to dine, my mind was now consumed by the tantalizing image of skewered kidneys sizzling at the barbecue stall by the community entrance, glistening with oil and generously sprinkled with cumin and chili powder. The allure of barbecue is irresistible. Minxie owes me a meal from our last encounter. I must seek him out later to ensure he treats me. It would be splendid to invite the chubby boy from the neighboring class as well. He knows which vendor serves the most delectable grilled eggplants. Gu Wanqing's sobs abruptly ceased. The sorrow etched on her face froze, as if she were momentarily bewildered by her own thoughts. Her tear-filled eyes widened in confusion as they turned toward me. According to her script, I was expected to be flustered or to vehemently deny her accusations. How could I possibly be contemplating barbecue, especially in reference to a term she had never encountered? The surrounding individuals began to sense the dissonance. Gu's mother frowned. "Lin Wei, Wanqing is addressing you." I lifted my head, donning an expression that was perfectly calibrated, imbued with a touch of bewilderment. This was the original owner's signature demeanor, employed to convey innocence and timidity. "Auntie, I did not steal the necklace." My voice was soft, tinged with a hint of the hoarseness that follows tears, standing in stark contrast to my inner yearning for skewered kidneys. Gu Wanqing's brow furrowed even deeper. She resumed her effort to delve into my thoughts, only to be met with, "The color of Gu Wanqing's dress is far too vibrant. rendering her complexion somewhat sallow. This white t-shirt I wear is far more appealing, comfortable, and resistant to stains. When I find Mingxi later, I shan't fear getting it dirty even in a scuffle. She. Fighting? This Lin Wei dares to engage in fisticuffs. Gu Wanqing was utterly flabbergasted. She had prepared a plethora of grievances to hurl at me, even strategizing how to steer the crowd to perceive the adopted daughter as envious of the true heiress, but now, her mind was awash with thoughts of barbecue, Mingxi, and fights, entirely unable to align with her narrative. At that moment, footsteps echoed from the entrance. A man clad in a tailored suit strode in, his posture regal, his features stern, none other than Gu Wanqing's fiancé, Fu Xinian, a well-known young talent within the capital's social circles and heir to the Fu family conglomerate. Fu Xinian was a crucial element in Gu Wanqing's plans. She was acutely aware that he cherished her deeply. Whenever she faced distress, he would undoubtedly come to her defense. Indeed, upon noticing Gu Wanqing's red-rimmed eyes and the sight of me kneeling on the floor, his countenance darkened instantly. What transpired? Gu Wanqing seemed to have found her anchor. Rushing to grasp his arm, her voice choked with emotion. "Brother Xinian, my necklace has vanished. Everyone claims Lin Wei took it." Fu Xinian's gaze fell upon me, his eyes cold as ice. "Lin Wei, surrender the necklace and apologize to Wanqing. I might consider this incident as though it never occurred." His voice was deep, imbued with an undeniable air of authority. The original owner had always feared him. Every time he furrowed his brow, she was too intimidated to utter a word. But I was not her. I observed the exquisite Patek Philippe limited edition watch adorning Fu Xinian's wrist, its face designed like the starry sky, sparkling under the light. How splendid it was, far superior to the electronic watch Mingxi had unearthed from a street vendor. This watch on the big shot's wrist holds some significance. Mingxi's birthday is approaching. Perhaps I should procure one as a gift? Though, if it proves too costly, I may have to extract several meals' worth of barbecue from him to settle the debt. Fu Xinian's movements abruptly halted. He had intended to utter further harsh words, but upon hearing my thoughts, he found himself frozen in disbelief. Was this woman, while he defended Wanqing, contemplating purchasing a watch for another man? And in the manner of extorting barbecue? For the first time in his 25 years, Fu Xinian felt utterly disregarded. The fury he had prepared became lodged in his throat, rendering him speechless, his complexion shifting between shades of green and white. Gu Wanqing, too, had caught wind of my musings. Her confusion surpassed even Fu Xinian's. She understood the exorbitant value of his watch, one of only 3 in existence globally. How could Lin Wei, a mere orphan adopted by the Gu family, possess such knowledge? And to contemplate gifting it to someone named Mingxi? Who on earth was this Mingxi? The atmosphere in the living room turned palpably tense. Gu Wan's father cleared his throat, shattering the silence. "Lin Wei, regardless of whether you took it or not, please rise and speak." I stood up, brushing the dust from my knees, moving with the ease of one at home. "Thank you, uncle." Then, I turned to Gu Wanqing, my tone tranquil. "What does your necklace look like? When did it go missing?" Gu Wanqing was momentarily taken aback by my demeanor, instinctively responding, "It's a Van Cleef Arpels 4-leaf clover necklace, crafted from white gold and adorned with diamonds. I placed it on my vanity in the bedroom this afternoon, and when I went to wear it just now, it had vanished." "Oh." I nodded. "I remained in my room reading all afternoon, never entering your bedroom. In truth, I was catching up on sleep. After assisting Mingxi with a group of thugs who were harassing him, I was utterly exhausted. That fellow, though not as adept at fighting, insisted on proving himself, resulting in a head injury that kept me busy bandaging until midnight." Gu Wanqing, she was now severely questioning whether her system had malfunctioned. Was this truly the same Lin Wei, who had once been so meek, even afraid to speak above a whisper? Now, not only was she contemplating barbecue and fighting, but she had also aided someone in tending to their wounds? Fu Xinian had also heard my thoughts. His gaze toward me grew increasingly complex. He had always perceived Lin Wei as a docile, harmless flower, yet it appeared this flower bore thorns and might very well be a wild weed. Without evidence, how can anyone ascertain the truth of your claims? Gu Wanqing, suppressing her astonishment, endeavored to regain her composure. "There are but a few individuals in this household. If you didn't take it, could it possibly have sprouted legs and fled?" "Perhaps," I replied nonchalantly, "or maybe you should search again. It might have simply fallen somewhere. Like beneath the bed? The last time I helped Mingxi hide the game console he had secretly purchased, I stuffed it under the bed for discretion." Gu Wanqing's eyes lit up suddenly. She almost immediately turned on her heels and hastened toward her bedroom. Fu Xinian and Gu's parents exchanged glances before following her. I sauntered along behind, still contemplating. I wonder if Mingxi is free tonight. It would be best if I could arrive before the barbecue stall closes. Upon entering Gu Wanqing's bedroom, she promptly crouched down to explore beneath the bed. Within moments, she gasped, retrieving a shimmering necklace from beneath the bed. Indeed, the very one she had lost. Found it? Gu's mother exclaimed in surprise. Gu Wanqing's face shifted from crimson to pale, clutching the necklace, speechless for a prolonged moment. She had never anticipated that the necklace would truly be beneath the bed. Even more mortifying was her previous certainty that Lin Wei had stolen it. It's likely that I accidentally knocked it off, Gu Wanqing stammered, her gaze evasive, unable to meet mine. Gu's father's expression softened somewhat. His gaze toward me tinged with a hint of regret. Lin Wei, I apologize. We misjudged you. It's all right, I shook my head, my tone still placid. As long as it is found. Wonderful. Now I can hasten to find Mingxi for some barbecue. If I delay any longer, the chubby boy might be locked away at home by his parents. Gu Wanqing's heart sank further upon hearing this. She had initially intended to humiliate Lin Wei, hoping to reveal her pretentious facade, but not only had she failed, she now appeared as a foolish troublemaker. Even more perplexing was the realization that Lin Wei had never truly cared about the incident. Her focus seemed genuinely centered on that individual named Mingxi. Fu Xinian also breathed a sigh of relief, yet his gaze upon me retained an air of scrutiny. He approached me, his tone markedly softer than before. I apologize for what transpired earlier. It's no concern, I nodded, my gaze inadvertently drawn back to his watch. I still find that watch quite appealing. Mingxi would undoubtedly look handsome wearing it. Wait until I return to inquire about the model of this watch. If all else fails, I shall purchase a replica of the same style. After all, he would be none the wiser. Fu Xin silently tucked the watch into his sleeve, realizing that Lin Wei was far more challenging than he had initially anticipated. With matters resolved, I had no reason to linger at the Gu residence any longer. Under the pretext of going out to procure some items, I swiftly slipped out through the gates. As I reached the entrance of the neighborhood, I spotted a youth clad in a black hoodie leaning against the wall, a lollipop perched between his lips, his hair tousled, resembling a street ruffian. Indeed, it was Mingxi. Why have you only just arrived? Mingxi inquired, removing the lollipop from his mouth and raising an eyebrow. If you delayed any longer, the barbecue stall would have closed down. I was held up by trivial matters, I replied, approaching him and giving his arm a light pat. Has the injury on your head healed? It's perfectly fine now. He waved dismissively, just a minor scrape, akin to a mere itch. I knew he was putting on a brave front. That day, he had been cornered in an alley by a group of 7 or 8 individuals. Yet he managed to endure until I arrived to assist him, resulting in a cut on his forehead that required 3 stitches. Let us go, then time for barbecue, I said, pulling him towards the stall. Today you shall treat. Why is it always me? He grumbled, but obediently followed. Last time, you claimed you were on a diet. Yet you snatched half a dozen skewers from me. That was a debt you owed me, I retorted with a huff. Who told you to engage in a fight without me? That was my own affair. Your affairs are my affairs. We exchanged banter until we reached the barbecue stall. Upon seeing us, the owner greeted with a smile. Xiao Wei, Xiao Xi. The usual today? Indeed, I nodded. Please add extra spice. And let us have 10 skewers of kidneys and 2 skewers of grilled eggplant, with plenty of garlic. Mingxi chimed in, and a large grilled leg of lamb, please. Do you think you can finish it? I shot him a disbelieving glance. Rest assured, I have reinforcements, he whistled, and soon a plump boy dashed over, just the one I had been thinking of, Xiao Peng. Hello, Wei Jia. Xiao Peng greeted with a beaming smile. Hello, I acknowledged, finding a table to sit at. Watching Mingxi and Xiao Peng haggle with the owner, I suddenly felt that being in this world might not be so dreadful after all. At the very least, there was barbecue to enjoy and company to share it with. In her own bedroom, Gu Wanqing clutched the necklace she had recovered, her expression grim. The mind-reading system was still operational, allowing her to clearly hear Lin Wei's thoughts, mostly concerning barbecue, Mingxi, and how to snatch Xiao Peng's skewers. Mingqi, Gu Wanqing murmured, her gaze filled with confusion and a hint of resentment. She could not fathom how Lin Wei could associate with someone who appeared so unruly. Even more perplexing was Lin Wei's apparent indifference to the Gu family's opinions and her status as the legitimate daughter, only caring for that Mingxi. This could not stand. She was determined to uncover who Mingxi truly was and to find leverage against Lin Wei. revealing to all that she was far from the demure girl she pretended to be. Clenching her fists, a glimmer of resolute ambition flashed in her eyes. Meanwhile, I was savoring a sizzling skewer of grilled kidneys, my sole thought being, delicious. The following day, I attended school. Gu Wanqing and I were enrolled in the same private high school, albeit in different classes. The original occupant of this body had been quite the invisible presence. Average in grades, introverted in nature, and devoid of friends. However, with my arrival, it was clear that being invisible was no longer an option, at least not in Gu Wanqing's eyes. Upon entering the classroom, I felt several pairs of curious eyes upon me. It was evident that Gu Wanqing had, intentionally or not, shared a bit about me with her clique, suggesting that I was suspected of theft. Sure enough, as soon as I sat down, a girl in front of me turned around, feigning concern as she asked, "Lin Wei, I heard there was an incident at the Gu household last night?" I glanced at her, Li Shui, one of Gu Wanqing's devoted followers. Another one of Gu Wanqing's people. Not worth my time. I should be pondering what to have for lunch. Ming Xi mentioned a new spicy hot pot place has opened at the back gate of the school, supposedly quite delectable. At this moment, Gu Wanqing was in the adjacent class, listening to my thoughts through the system, unable to suppress an eye roll. Even now, I was thinking about food, seeing my silence. Li Shui continued, "I heard from Wanqing that she lost a very expensive necklace. Everyone is saying you took it, Lin Wei. How could you do such a thing? The Gu family has taken care of you for so many years. How could you repay their kindness with ingratitude?" Such words were quite harsh. The surrounding students turned their gazes towards me, their expressions a mix of curiosity and disdain. I set my book down, meeting Li Shui's gaze with calm composure. "The necklace has been found. It was under her bed." "Ah? It's been found?" Li Shui was momentarily taken aback, clearly not expecting this outcome. "Yes." I nodded. Perhaps she accidentally knocked it off herself. In truth, I suspected she had hidden it herself to frame me, but it mattered little. I hadn't stolen it. She could think whatever she pleased. I was merely curious if the hot pot would be spicy, as Ming Xi couldn't handle too much heat. I would need to ask the owner to go easy on the chili. Gu Wanqing, overhearing this from her classroom, was so furious she nearly crushed her pen. Lin Wei even suspected it was her own doing? Was this how she perceived me? And again with Ming Xi. How much did she care for that ruffian? Li Shui, momentarily silenced by my retort, turned back around. The other students, seeing the lack of entertainment, also diverted their attention. Just as I was about to resume my reading, my phone vibrated with a message from Ming Xi. "See you at the usual place for lunch. I'll treat you to hot pot." I responded with an affirmative, a smile involuntarily gracing my lips. This scene was perfectly witnessed by Gu Wanqing, who, upon seeing me smile at my phone, felt an alarm go off in her mind. She quickly focused on deciphering my thoughts. Ming Xi seems to have a good conscience after all. But has his allowance increased again? Last time, he lamented about being broke. Yet now he invites me to hot pot. Surely, he isn't even getting into fights for money again? I must ask him later. Gu Wanqing, fighting for money? This Ming Xi is truly no good. How could Lin Wei associate so closely with him, effectively leading her down a path of ruin? The more she pondered, the more infuriated she became, prompting her to seek out Fu Xin. Coincidentally, Fu Xin was at the school today to handle some matters, being one of the school's board members. When Gu Wanqing found him, he was in his office reviewing documents. "Brother Xin." Gu Wanqing stormed in, visibly agitated. Fu Xin looked up, amused at her flustered demeanor. "What's the matter? Who has angered you this time?" "Who else but Lin Wei?" Gu Wanqing took a seat across from him and recounted her overheard thoughts, embellishing them as she went. She's not behaving at school at all. Associating closely with a ruffian named Ming Xi, who even fights for money. "Brother Xin, don't you think that's outrageous?" Fu Xin listened, his brow furrowing slightly. He recalled Lin Wei wanting to buy a watch for Ming Xi and her thoughts on fighting, feeling a degree of disapproval. "Do not be too upset," he reassured her. "Lin Wei is, after all, a member of the Gu family. Her nature may not be inherently bad, merely misguided in her choice of friends. I will have a word with her when I have the chance." "A word? This is hardly something that can be resolved with mere words." Gu Wanqing insisted. "Brother Xin, you have no idea how excessive she truly is. She clearly doesn't care how others perceive her. Her only focus is on that Ming Xi. Could Fu Xin genuinely be coming to speak with me? How bothersome. If he delays my hot pot, I shall become irate. I must devise a way to deter him from bothering me." As Fu Xin conversed with Gu Wanqing, he silently retracted his earlier thoughts. He believed he might not be able to manage Lin Wei. Upon leaving the school building at noon, I spotted Ming Xiai leaning against a nearby parasol tree. Hands stuffed in his pockets, a lollipop still dangling from his lips, and his school jacket carelessly draped over his shoulders. Appearing very much like a delinquent who shirks academic responsibilities. Yet, I knew this lad wore a t-shirt beneath that had faded with washing, with frayed cuffs. Yet, he would discreetly produce crumpled change whenever I craved barbecued skewers. He would assert that fighting was his own affair. Yet, he was always the first to stand in front of me when I was confronted. "Let us go for spicy hot pot," I remarked as I strolled over, giving a light pat to the back of his head. "Got it, you're so insistent," he mumbled, removing a lollipop and tossing it into a nearby trash bin before striding along behind me. The spicy hot pot stall at the back gate of the school had just opened, yet it was already bustling with business. By the time we arrived, there were few vacant seats left, save for a table tucked away in the corner. As soon as we sat down, Ming Xiai rose to select the ingredients, reminding me on his way out, "Go easy on the cilantro. You said last time it tastes like grass." I couldn't help but smile at his retreating figure squeezed within the crowd. This boy has quite a good memory, but he himself loves cilantro. Every time, he tells the vendor to leave it out. How foolish. At that moment, Gu Wanqing was trailing behind Fu Xin, observing the scene from a distance. She had initially intended for Fu Xin to witness the closeness between Lin Wei and that delinquent, but instead, she overheard something unexpected. She paused. Her gaze toward Ming Xiai now layered with complexity. This delinquent didn't seem entirely heartless, after all. Fu Xin, too, caught my thoughts. Observing Ming Xiai diligently selecting the ingredients at the hot pot stall, he recalled the watch that Lin Wei had intended to buy for Ming Xiai. And an unwelcome sensation stirred within him. "Brother Xin, look at them." Gu Wanqing tugged at Fu Xin's sleeve, her tone laced with displeasure. "They are so intimate in broad daylight." "Intimate? We are merely sharing a meal of spicy hot pot. How does that qualify as intimacy?" Does Gu Wanqing misconstrue the term intimacy? Or is she simply jealous that I have someone treating me to hot pot? Gu Wanqing, who is envious of her eating hot pot? She simply disapproves of Lin Wei associating with the delinquent. Fu Xin cleared his throat lightly and took a few steps forward. "Lin Wei." I glanced up to see Fu Xin and Gu Wanqing, arching an eyebrow. How persistent. Had I known, I would have chosen a different place to eat. Ming Xiai returned with the selected ingredients, and upon noticing Fu Xin, his brow immediately furrowed. He recognized Fu Xin, the pride of the capital, Gu Wanqing's fiancé, and the one who had often regarded him with disdainful eyes. "What is he doing here?" Ming Xiai set the ingredients on the table, his tone unfriendly, as he addressed me. "Not sure. Perhaps he is here to inspect the hygiene of the hot pot stall?" I replied casually. Fu Xin. He took a deep breath, striving to keep his tone composed. "Lin Wei, I have something to discuss with you." "I'm busy." I retorted bluntly. "I want spicy hot pot." "What conversation cannot wait until I finish my meal? What if the hot pot gets cold?" Ming Xiai specifically added plenty of my favorite fish balls. Fu Xin's expression darkened. He had never been so directly rebuffed, especially not in front of a spicy hot pot stall. Gu Wanqing, relishing Fu Xin's discomfort, feigned concern. "Lin Wei, Brother Xin is only looking out for your best interests. Just listen to him for a moment." "For my best interests? If he truly cared, he would treat me to hot pot." Mere words without action are insincere. Gu Wanqing. She now seriously questioned whether Lin Wei's mind revolved solely around food. Ming Xiai handed me chopsticks, casting a cold glare at Fu Xin. "If you have something to say, say it, but don't interrupt her meal." Fu Xin turned his gaze toward Ming Xiai, scrutinizing him. "So, you are Ming Xiai? And what of it?" Ming Xiai retorted defiantly. Two equally remarkable youths faced off, one exuding a cool, noble air, while the other radiated rebelliousness, making the atmosphere around them seem almost suffocating. The hot pot stall owner watched in astonishment, inching closer to see if a fight would break out. "Could you please not obstruct my reach for the fish balls? If I don't eat soon, Ming Xiai will snatch them." My thoughts broke the tense atmosphere like a stone shattering glass. Both Fu Xin and Ming Xiai turned to me, only to find me stretching my arm, desperately reaching for the fish balls in the pot, chanting, "Ming Xi, don't move. That's mine." Ming Xiai. He silently withdrew his chopsticks that had been reaching for the fish balls. Fu Xin. He suddenly found his earlier earnestness somewhat amusing. Gu Wanqing, overhearing my thoughts, was rendered speechless. To her, the palpable tension seemed to be merely a fishball snatching contest in Lin Wei's eyes. "Forget it," Fu Xin conceded. "I merely wish to advise you to keep your distance from certain unsavory individuals. It would benefit you." As he spoke, his gaze pointedly drifted toward Ming Xiai. Ming Xi's expression darkened instantly. Who are you calling unsavory? Whoever takes offense is guilty, Fu Xin replied coolly. You're asking for trouble. Ming Xi abruptly rose. Fists clenched. Ming Xi, I grasped his arm, shoving a fishball into his mouth. Don't stoop to his level. Just eat the fishball. With the fishball in his mouth, Ming Xi glared at Fu Xin but refrained from making a move. I turned to Fu Xin, my tone steady. Mr. Fu, I do not need others dictating my friendships. Moreover, Ming Xi is not an unsavory person. He is far better than many hypocrites. Like you. I heard last time you resorted to underhanded tactics to secure a project. Although it was a business maneuver, it was rather dishonorable. Fu Xin's expression shifted abruptly. He had executed the underhanded tactic with utmost discretion. How could Lin Wei possibly know? He cast a deep glance at me, then at Ming Xi, said nothing further, and turned to leave. Gu Wanxing hurriedly followed him, not forgetting to hear my thoughts as she departed. Finally, he has gone. Ming Xi, hurry and eat. The hot pot will cool down. By the way, here's a quail egg for you. You mentioned wanting to eat it yesterday. Gu Wanxing observed Ming Xi obediently devouring the quail egg I had handed him. His demeanor softened, contrasting sharply with his usual rebelliousness, stirring an unexpected feeling within her. She had always believed Lin Wei was merely putting on an act, but now it seemed that Lin Wei genuinely trusted Ming Xi. And Ming Xi also appeared to care deeply for Lin Wei. Brother Xin, wait for me. Gu Wanxing rushed to catch up with Fu Xin. Fu Xin's expression remained grim. He was unsettled by Lin Wei's mention of him being hypocritical and her awareness of his underhanded tactics, leaving him feeling quite uncomfortable. That Ming Xi is no ordinary character, Fu Xin suddenly remarked. Huh? Gu Wanxing was taken aback. He's just a delinquent. What is so special about him? Don't you find his gaze rather peculiar? Fu Xin continued. Although he appears rebellious, there's a brightness in his eyes. And he possesses an aura that isn't typical of a delinquent. Gu Wanxing pondered this, realizing it might indeed be true. Though Ming Xi dressed and acted like a delinquent, he stood his ground before Fu Xin, exuding a sense of equality. So, what if he is extraordinary? Gu Wanxing retorted defiantly. Even if he is exceptional, it doesn't change the fact that he is a delinquent. Lin Wei associating with him is simply wrong. Fu Xin remained silent, lost in thought as he gazed into the distance. He couldn't shake the feeling that the young man named Ming Xi, much like Lin Wei, was not as simple as he appeared. At this moment, in front of the spicy hot pot stall, Ming Xi and I were indulging in our meal with fervor. Don't take Fu Xin's words to heart, I remarked, slurping up noodles. I couldn't care less about what he says, Ming Xi replied nonchalantly. However, if he dares to bully you, I won't let him off easily. I won't be bullied by him. I shot him a sidelong glance. But you should fight less with others. Look at that scar on your forehead. If it leaves a mark, which girl would still fancy you? A mark would just make me look cooler, Ming Xi raised an eyebrow. Besides, I don't care whether girls like me or not. Oh, is that so? I teased him. Then, why did you turn as red as a monkey's backside when that girl from the second year confessed to you? That was just the heat. Ming Xi's ears flushed crimson as he stubbornly defended himself. Watching his stubborn demeanor, I couldn't help but chuckle. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting a warm and bright glow on our faces, which were smeared with chili oil. I suddenly thought, such days are quite delightful, filled with food and friends, free from the burdens of feigned grievances and unconcerned with powerful figures like Fu Xinyan. Little did I know, this tranquility would not last long. Gu Wanxing evidently would not simply concede defeat, and Fu Xinyan appeared to have developed an interest in Ming Xi. A new storm was quietly brewing. Soon, the school's centenary celebration arrived. As a prominent private high school in the capital, the event was particularly grand, inviting numerous alumni and social elites. Naturally, the Gu family, as one of the sponsors, attended in full force. Gu Wanxing donned an exquisite gown, linking arms with Fu Xinyan, resembling a proud princess basking in the admiration of many. Meanwhile, I wore a simple white dress, standing behind Mr. and Mrs. Gu like a mere specter. This was precisely the effect Gu Wanxing desired, to ensure that everyone recognized who the true heiress of the Gu family was. This dress is so uncomfortable. Had I known, I wouldn't have come. I might as well have stayed home and slept. Ming Xi promised to take me to that new crawfish restaurant after the celebration. I wonder if he is ready. Gu Wanxing overheard my thoughts, and her smile faltered for a moment. At such a crucial moment, I was still thinking about crawfish? And that Ming Xi. How could he not attend such an important occasion? Truly a rule-breaking ruffian. Fu Xinyan also caught wind of my thoughts, casting a discreet glance in my direction. This dress was specially prepared for me by the Gu family, and despite its considerable price, I found it rather constricting. He suddenly recalled the sight of me, clad in a simple t-shirt, relishing my meal at the hot pot stall, evoking an unusual feeling within him. The ceremonial proceedings commenced, with the principal delivering a speech, followed by remarks from distinguished alumni. Fu Xinyan, as the youngest outstanding alumnus, naturally took the stage to say a few words. Dressed impeccably in a suit, he exuded confidence, eliciting cheers and shrieks from the audience. How dull. I'd rather hear Ming Xi recount his brawling antics. He once told me about being chased by a dog as a child and losing a shoe. It was hilarious. Gu Wanxing. It seemed Fu Xinyan sensed something, his gaze instinctively drifting toward me, locking eyes for a fleeting moment. I quickly lowered my head, feigning earnestness in listening to his speech. Fu Xinyan's lips twitched slightly. He couldn't shake the feeling that Lin Wei's earlier glance at him held a hint of sympathy. After the speeches, it was time for a cultural performance. As the Gu family heiress, Gu Wanxing was naturally obliged to showcase her talents. She performed a piano piece, which, though not exceptional, adhered to convention and garnered her considerable applause. When it was our class's turn, the homeroom teacher pushed me onto the stage. The original owner of my body had practiced the guzheng for a few years, and the teacher believed my serene disposition was well suited for the instrument. With a pounding heart, I approached the guzheng and sat down. Despite my lack of knowledge about the guzheng, the original owner's memories lingered, and my body seemed to respond instinctively. Taking a deep breath, I plucked the strings. The melodious sound resonated, instantly silencing the previously raucous auditorium. I was taken aback, surprised at how well the original owner could play the guzheng. So, playing the guzheng is this easy? If I had known, I wouldn't have been so nervous. Once this is over, I must quickly message Ming Xi to ask if the crawfish is ready. Gu Wanxing, seated below, watched in astonishment as Lin Wei performed on stage. She had always thought Lin Wei was inept, merely pretending to be aloof, but was taken aback by her impressive guzheng skills. Even more baffling was that Lin Wei, while performing, was still preoccupied with thoughts of crawfish and Ming Xi. Fu Xinyan was equally surprised. He observed Lin Wei on stage, clad in a simple white dress, her focus unwavering as she played the guzheng, her demeanor tranquil, starkly contrasting with her usual distracted, food-obsessed self. In that moment, she truly embodied the essence of serene as a chrysanthemum. As the piece concluded, thunderous applause erupted from the audience. I stood, bowed, and hurriedly exited the stage. Just as I returned to my seat, Gu Wanxing leaned in, feigning sincerity. Lin Wei, you played beautifully. I had no idea you were so talented on the guzheng. It was just average, I replied coolly. Hurry up and end this, crawfish. Gu Wanxing. She resolved to cease any further attempts at conversation with Lin Wei. Following the celebration, a banquet ensued. Mr. and Mrs. Gu took Gu Wanxing and me to mingle with various dignitaries. A corpulent middle-aged man, upon spotting me, had his eyes widen in surprise as he strode over, drink in hand. So, you must be the adopted daughter of the Gu family? Quite the beauty indeed. Come, drink a toast with uncle. With that, he attempted to reach for me. I frowned and took a step back, evading his grasp. Greasy uncle, keep your distance. If Ming Xi were here, he would surely knock him flat. Gu Wanxing's heart sank at hearing this. She recognized this man, a lecherous nouveau riche with a questionable reputation. Just as she was about to intervene, Fu Xinyan stepped in front of me. Mr. Wang, he said, his tone icy, Lin Wei is still young and cannot drink. Mr. Wang's smile faltered upon seeing Fu Xinyan, but he awkwardly replied, Oh, it's Mr. Fu. I was merely joking with this young lady. Once a joke has been made, it ceases to be amusing, Fu Xinyan stated coolly. Mr. Wang, thwarted, dared not say another word and slinked away. Thank you, I said to Fu Xinyan. At least he has a shred of decency. However, he still doesn't hold a candle to Ming Xi, who would have simply thrown that man out. Fu Xinyan, he suddenly regretted having intervened. Gu Wanxing, observing the exchange, felt an unsettling pang in her heart. She sensed that Fu Xinyan's attitude toward Lin Wei seemed to have shifted. At that moment, a commotion erupted at the entrance of the banquet. We turned to see Ming Xi, clad in a sleek black suit, making his entrance amidst a throng of admirers. His hair was neatly combed, his usual defiance replaced by a newfound composure, rendering him almost unrecognizable. To everyone's astonishment, following closely behind him was Ming Jinxiong, the chairman of the Ming Group. The Ming Group was a venerable enterprise in the capital, renowned for its formidable strength, and Ming Jinxiong was a legendary figure in the business world. Gasps of disbelief echoed through the crowd, including for myself, Gu Wanxing and Fu Xinyan. Isn't that Mr. Ming? Who is that young man? Why does Mr. Ming treat him with such respect? He looks somewhat familiar. Wasn't he that ruffian we saw at the school gate last time? Whispers of speculation filled the air. Ming Xi strode confidently toward us, his gaze landing on me, and in an instant, his previously steady eyes softened. Apologies for being late. He approached me with a natural demeanor, stating, "The crayfish has already been prepared by the hotel. I'll take you to savor it once the event concludes." I stood there, momentarily stunned, unable to articulate a response. Is this truly the same Ming Xi who had once donned a tattered t-shirt and competed with me for fish balls? Ming Xi is from the Ming family? The heir of the Ming Corporation? Wasn't he just a ruffian? This twist is utterly exhilarating. No wonder he could always afford to treat me to barbecues. It turns out he is a concealed scion of wealth. Gu Wanqing was left dumbfounded as she listened to my thoughts. The heir of the Ming family? The very same Ming Xi she had always presumed to be a delinquent was, in fact, an heir? This was the illustrious Ming family, one with a heritage even more profound than the Fu family. Fu Xinyan was equally taken aback, his gaze fixed on Ming Xi, filled with astonishment and disbelief. He finally comprehended why he had sensed something extraordinary about Ming Xi. The aura he exuded was not that of a mere ruffian, but rather the refined aloofness cultivated within a prestigious family from a young age. Gu's parents were utterly flabbergasted, never having dreamed that their unassuming foster daughter was acquainted with the heir of the Ming family. Ming Jinxiong approached, regarding me with a gentle smile. "You must be Xiao Wei. I often hear Xiao Ci speak of you." "Hello, Ming Dong," I stammered. "No need for such formality. Just call me Uncle Ming," he replied with a smile. "Xiao Ci has been spoiled by us. If he ever misbehaves, please bear with him." The child he referred to as spoiled was none other than the one who had jostled with me for spicy hot pot and had been chased by a dog during a brawl.
Ming Xi.
Ming Xi cleared his throat beside me. "Grandfather, please don't say any more." Ming Jinxiong chuckled, patting his shoulder, and ceased his words. The gazes of those around me shifted dramatically, from previous indifference and disdain to astonishment, envy, and even a hint of flattery. Gu Wanqing observed the scene, her heart a tumult of emotions. She had longed to expose Lin Wei's true nature and humiliate her, yet it seemed she was the one who ended up embarrassed. The ruffian she had always looked down upon turned out to be the heir of the Ming family, while Lin Wei had long been deeply intertwined with him. Ming Xi's identity detonated like a bomb, erupting amidst the festivities of the school celebration. Those who had previously clustered around Gu Wanqing and Fu Xinyan gradually gravitated towards me, their faces adorned with eager smiles, chattering animatedly. "Miss Lin is truly fortunate to have known young Master Ming for such a long time. I always sensed Miss Lin's extraordinary demeanor. She is certainly not an ordinary person. In the future, please speak highly of us in front of young Master Ming." The sudden shift left me bewildered, and all I could do was smile awkwardly, mentally reflecting, these people changed their demeanor far too swiftly. Just a moment ago, they looked at me with disdain. Now, they are so cordial. Indeed, the crayfish is reliable. It doesn't alter its nature based on who I am. Gu Wanqing, absorbing my thoughts, felt a deep sense of discontent. She watched as those around me fawned over me, then glanced at the diminishing attention on her side, for the first time doubting her own plan. She had intended for Lin Wei to be embarrassed. Yet it was Lin Wei who had become the focal point of the event. Fu Xinyan, observing me surrounded by admirers, wore a complex expression. He recalled his earlier condescension towards Ming Xi, recalling how he had labeled him as a man of dubious character, and felt the rush of heat to his face. It suddenly dawned on him that he had fundamentally misjudged both Lin Wei and Ming Xi. Clearly, Ming Xi was not fond of such attention. He frowned and stepped forward, discreetly shielding me behind him as he addressed the crowd coldly. "If you have matters to discuss, do so without encircling her." His tone was not harsh, yet it carried an innate authority. The crowd fell silent, retreating a few steps awkwardly. Ming Jinxiong observed with a glimmer of amusement in his eyes, quite pleased with his grandson's protective nature. "Let us take our leave," Ming Xi murmured to me, his tone returning to its customary gentleness. "All right," I nodded, finally exhaling in relief. Ming Xi exchanged a brief greeting with Ming Jinxiong before guiding me towards the exit. As we passed by Gu Wanqing and Fu Xinyan, he paused, glancing at Fu Xinyan and coolly advising, "Stay away from her in the future." Fu Xinyan's expression shifted, yet he offered no rebuttal. Gu Wanqing watched Ming Xiai escorting me away, her heart constricted as if obstructed by an unseen force. Finally, we can indulge in crayfish.
Mingchi.
Is the crayfish at your hotel sufficiently spicy? I want it extra hot. Gu Wanqing. She now comprehended fully. Whether Ming Xiai was a ruffian or the heir of the Ming family, in Lin Wei's eyes, he merely appeared to be the one who could accompany her in enjoying barbecues, spicy hot pot, and crayfish. Once seated in Ming Xi's car, I could no longer suppress my curiosity. Are you truly the heir of the Ming family? Yes, Ming Xiai affirmed, nodding as he drove. I didn't tell you earlier because I feared it might burden you. What burden could it possibly be? You are the heir of the Ming family. While I am merely a fake daughter of the Gu family, neither of us should look down upon the other. My words elicited a laugh from Ming Xiai. You make a valid point. However, I shifted the subject. Why do you always pretend to be a ruffian? Engaging in fights. Making me genuinely believe you're a troubled youth. It's not an act. Ming Xi's gaze darkened. I truly dislike the life of the Ming family. Their rules are too confining. Fighting with them is actually, he paused, leaving the thought unspoken. I chose not to press further. Everyone harbors their own secrets. He would share when he was ready. By the way, I recalled something. Your grandfather just mentioned that you often speak of me?
What have you told him about me?
Ming Xi's ears flushed. I didn't say much, just that you are my friend. Really? I regarded him with skepticism. Indeed, he hastily diverted the topic. We're almost there. The crayfish will definitely be spicy. Witnessing his flustered demeanor, I couldn't help but chuckle. The crayfish at the Ming family hotel lived up to its reputation, spicy and aromatic, leaving me drenched in sweat, exclaiming in satisfaction. Ming Xiai, though not particularly fond of spicy food, accompanied me in indulging, his lips turning a vibrant red from the heat. If you can't handle it, don't eat. I pushed a cup of iced drink towards him. I'm fine. He took a sip of the drink. As long as you enjoy it. Observing his earnest expression, my heart skipped a beat. Is Ming Xiai becoming somewhat handsome? No, he is my little brother. I cannot entertain such thoughts. It must be the crayfish's spiciness muddling my brain. Although Ming Xiai could not hear my thoughts, he seemed to sense my unusual demeanor, regarding me with curiosity. What is wrong? Nothing. I hastily lowered my head, pretending to focus on the shrimp. We savored the crayfish for quite some time, and by the time we emerged, night had fallen. Ming Xiai drove me home, stopping the car at the entrance of the Gu family villa. Thank you for the crayfish today, I expressed. You're welcome, he replied, looking at me. If you ever want to eat something, just let me know. All right, I nodded, opening the car door to exit. Lin Wei, he suddenly called out to me. I turned to look at him. During the school celebration, when you played the guzheng, you looked stunning. His eyes sparkled, like stars had fallen within them. My cheeks flushed instantly. Oh, really? Thank you. After uttering the words, I almost fled the car, rushing into the villa. Once in my room, my heart raced uncontrollably. Leaning against the door, I touched my warm cheeks, my mind a whirlwind. I seemed to have developed different feelings for Ming Xiai. This sensation was something I had never experienced before. The following day at school, the dynamics of my relationship with Ming Xiai appear to have taken on a subtle shift. He still waits for me to have lunch together, still brings me snacks. But the way he looks at me seems to carry a hint of something more. And I, unable to resist, often steal glances at him, my face flushing whenever our eyes meet. Gu Wanqing observes all of this, her heart growing increasingly restless as she listens to my chaotic thoughts through the system. Ming Xi's white shirt today is truly remarkable, far more appealing than yesterday's suit. He looked so handsome while playing basketball just now. That three-pointer was spot on. Could he possibly like me too? Surely not. We are good friends after all. Gu Wanqing feels as though Lin Wei's thoughts are driving her to madness. Initially, she intended to use the system to unveil Lin Wei's true nature, but now, she finds herself a mere witness to the burgeoning bond between Lin Wei and Ming Xiai. What frustrates her even more is that Fu Xinian seems increasingly attentive towards Lin Wei. He finds excuses to discuss studies with her. He discreetly passes her notes when she struggles to answer questions posed by the teacher. He even picks out the cilantro she dislikes from her bowl in the cafeteria. Is Fu Xinian unwell? Why is he always following me? Doesn't he fancy Gu Wanqing? Why is he meddling with my cilantro? I can handle it myself. How intrusive. Gu Wanqing, upon hearing this, feels a wave of discomfort wash over her. She approaches Fu Xinian, wanting to clarify his intentions. Xin Yan, why have you been seeking out Lin Wei so often lately? Her tone carries a hint of grievance. Fu Xinian looks at her and replies calmly. I just think she isn't as unpleasant as I once thought. Not as unpleasant? Gu Wanxing can hardly believe her ears. She is a fake heiress. She once tried to steal my necklace. That incident is in the past, Fu Xinian says. And I now believe it might have been a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Gu Wanxing grows agitated. How can it be a misunderstanding? I clearly heard her thoughts. She stops mid-sentence, suddenly realizing she cannot disclose the existence of the system to Fu Xinian. He gazes at her with a hint of curiosity. What were her thoughts? Nothing at all. Gu Wanxing stammers. Fu Xinian does not press further, merely stating, Wanxing, I think you may harbor some bias against Lin Wei. She is actually quite innocent. Innocent? Gu Wanxing cannot fathom this. How can she be innocent? She's clearly... She wants to express that Lin Wei is calculating. But as the words linger on her lips, she recalls Lin Wei's thoughts consumed with food, her trust and reliance on Ming Xi, and suddenly finds herself unable to voice her opinion. Fu Xinian observes her without further comment and turns to leave. Gu Wanxing stands there, lost in confusion. She cannot comprehend how things have spiraled to this point. Her plans, her pride seem to be crumbling piece by piece. Meanwhile, I remain blissfully unaware of all this. My mind entirely occupied with Ming Xi. One moment I feel he might have feelings for me, and the next, I question whether it's just my imagination. Completely oblivious to Fu Xinian's peculiar behavior. Until one day, Fu Xinian corners me at the classroom door. Lin Wei, I need to talk to you. His gaze is earnest. What is it? I respond somewhat impatiently. He takes a deep breath as though summoning immense resolve. I think I might like you. I am taken aback. Is Fu Xinian out of his mind? He likes me? Isn't he Gu Wanxing's fiancé? This plot development is far too dramatic. I need to find Ming Xi and tell him about this, to get his perspective. Fu Xinian, witnessing my shocked expression, assumes I am simply shy and is about to say more when he sees me turn and flee, my speed akin to that of a gust of wind. He is left speechless. All of this is overheard in its entirety by Gu Wanxing, who is hiding nearby. She watches Fu Xinian's crestfallen expression and sees me sprinting towards Ming Xi, a wave of unprecedented fatigue and jealousy surging within her. She envies Lin Wei for her ability to focus solely on food with such innocence. She envies Lin Wei for receiving Ming Xi's steadfast protection. She even envies Lin Wei for eliciting Fu Xinian's admission of affection. Leaning against the wall, Gu Wanxing slowly sinks to the ground. She suddenly feels that the true nature she has painstakingly tried to expose seems utterly insignificant now. I run breathlessly to the basketball court, where Ming Xi is playing. Dressed in his basketball uniform, beads of sweat glisten on his forehead. In the sunlight, the sharp angles of his profile appear particularly striking. Upon noticing my approach, he immediately halts his actions, wipes his sweat with a towel, and strides towards me, asking what's wrong. Why are you running so fast? Fu Xinian just told me he likes me, I say, gasping for breath. Ming Xi's expression darkens instantly. What did he say? He said he likes me. I reiterate. Do you think he has gone mad? Isn't he supposed to like Gu Wanxing? Ming Xi remains silent, his gaze turning as cold as ice as he turns to head towards the teaching building. Where are you going? I quickly grab his arm. To find him. Ming Xi replies, his tone sharp. What for? To fight him? I roll my eyes at him. Have you forgotten that you're now the heir of the Ming family? Can you not act more mature? My retort momentarily stuns Ming Xi, but then he responds somewhat defensively. He said that. How can I not care? Care about what? I raise an eyebrow. He said he likes me, but that doesn't mean I like him. Rest assured, I have no feelings for him whatsoever. As I speak, I suddenly realize what I am about to say, and my cheeks flush instantly. Ming Xi looks at me, his eyes brightening. What about you? Nothing. I quickly divert the topic. In any case, I won't pay him any mind, so don't go looking for trouble with him. Ming Xi studies me for a long moment, and, seeing that I truly have no intentions towards Fu Xinian, his expression softens slightly. Alright, but if he dares to bother you again, I won't let him off easily. Got it, big brother. I pat his arm. Continue playing. I'll watch from here. Ming Xi nods and returns to the court. Yet I can tell his focus has shifted as he frequently glances in my direction. Sitting on the bench at the sidelines, I watch him run and leap on the court, my heart racing like a little rabbit. Actually, I think I might like Ming Xi a bit. Not in a brotherly way, but in a way that makes me want to be with him. Does he possibly like me too? Was he nervous just now because he has feelings for me? Gu Wanxing, hiding nearby, listens to my thoughts and feels her last shred of hope dissipate. Watching the carefree interaction between Ming Xi and me, she suddenly finds her system somewhat superfluous. She had once believed that knowing Lin Wei's thoughts would grant her control over everything, allowing her to ruin Lin Wei's reputation. But now she feels like an outsider, watching Lin Wei and Ming Xi's relationship blossom while she is powerless to intervene. What troubles her even more is the oddity of her system. Lately, there are times when she cannot hear Lin Wei's thoughts, or the thoughts she does hear are fragmented, as if the signal is poor. System, what is wrong with you? Gu Wanqing inquires within her mind. System operating normally, no anomalies detected. The cold mechanical voice responds. Yet Gu Wanqing cannot shake the feeling that something is amiss. Especially when Lin Wei and Ming Xi are together, the system's signal seems particularly weak. Unbeknownst to her, the system's irregularities stem precisely from the deepening of my feelings for Ming Xi. The system can only capture surface thoughts, and when my emotions become profound and sincere, those buried sentiments become impervious to its grasp. Fu Xinian, undeterred by my rejection, persists in his pursuit. He continues to craft various excuses to appear before me, delivering breakfast, reserving seats, and even approaching with a tray while I dine with Ming Xi. Each time Ming Xi lays eyes on him, his expression darkens considerably. Had I not intervened, a confrontation would have surely ensued. Does Fu Xinian not comprehend human speech? I have expressly stated my disinterest, so why does he persist in following me? He disrupts my meals with Ming Xi. Besides, the breakfast he prepares pales in comparison to the soy milk and deep-fried dough sticks Ming Xi buys for me. Ming Xi looks particularly handsome today, especially when he frowns. He exudes such masculinity. Gu Wanqing, listening to this, felt her head spinning. Her daily routine now consisted of hearing Lin Wei's complaints about Fu Xinian while she swooned over Ming Xi. Unable to contain herself any longer, she sought out Fu Xinian. Brother Xinian, please refrain from pursuing Lin Wei any further, Gu Wanqing said, her tone weary. She does not harbor feelings for you. Her affections lie with Ming Xi. Fu Xinian's expression shifted slightly. How do you know? I can see it. Gu Wanqing replied vaguely, unable to divulge the intricacies of the system. Their bond is too strong. You should withdraw.
Fu Xinian fell silent.
He too had noticed the stark contrast in Lin Wei's gaze when she looked at Ming Xi compared to when she regarded him. The joy and dependence reflected in her eyes were sentiments he had never experienced. I understand, Fu Xinian's voice was subdued. I apologize, Wanqing, for putting you in this position. Gu Wanqing shook her head. It's nothing. Suddenly, she realized that her feelings for Fu Xinian had waned. Once, she believed he was perfect for her, but now, witnessing his despondence over Lin Wei left her surprisingly indifferent. Perhaps she was merely enamored with Fu Xinian's status as a prominent figure in the capital and the aura he brought along. Having reached this understanding, Gu Wanqing felt a sense of relief wash over her. She gazed at Fu Xinian's forlorn figure and silently wished, "May you find someone who truly loves you." With that, she turned to leave. She resolved to no longer involve herself in Lin Wei and Ming Xi's affairs, nor to rely on that system any longer. It seemed the system sensed her change of heart, as a mechanical voice echoed. Host was changed. The system will unbind within 24 hours. Gu Wanqing paused momentarily, then smiled. Unbinding was a welcome prospect. She could finally return to her true self. Meanwhile, I remained oblivious to all of this, preoccupied with another dilemma. Ming Xi appeared to be teetering on the edge of confessing his feelings for me. He would hesitate when driving me home, steal glances while buying snacks, and jerk away as if shocked whenever our hands accidentally brushed, his ears turning crimson for quite some time. I was in a state of agitation, yet too shy to take the initiative. Ming Xi, why don't you just say it? Do you like me or not? If you don't speak up soon, I won't wait any longer. No, a girl must maintain her composure. Perhaps I should wait a bit longer. Maybe he will confess tomorrow? Just when we were both anxiously testing each other's feelings, a crisis befell the Gu family. A project my father invested in had failed, leading the company to the brink of bankruptcy. My mother wept incessantly, while my father's hair turned gray from worry. Though Gu Wanqing had just come to terms with certain matters, witnessing her family's plight filled her with anxiety. How could the Gu family suddenly face bankruptcy? This plot twist wasn't even mentioned in the original story. Could it be that my arrival has drastically altered the narrative? Though my parents have never treated me poorly, they have not been overly kind either. Now that they are in trouble, I cannot turn a blind eye. Ming Xi's family must have some influence. Should I seek his assistance? But would that make him feel I'm exploiting him? Having resolved to distance herself from my affairs, Gu Wanqing was taken aback by her own thoughts. She hadn't anticipated Lin Wei's willingness to help the Gu family. Seeing me frowning with concern, she suddenly felt that she had misjudged Lin Wei. Lin Wei was not falsely lofty. She simply lived authentically. After a moment's hesitation, Gu Wanxing approached me. Lin Wei, I know you're worried about your family situation. I was taken aback, not expecting her to initiate a conversation.
Yes.
In fact, I know who is behind this. Gu Wanxing continued.
Who?
I asked urgently. It's that general manager Wang from before. Her tone was laced with suppressed anger. My father had previously collaborated with him on a project, but they fell out due to differing ideologies. He has harbored resentment ever since, and this time he deliberately spread false information, sabotaging my father's investments and colluding with other companies to withdraw their funding, which caused the financial chain to collapse. Suddenly, everything made sense. No wonder the Gu family faced such sudden turmoil. Someone was indeed scheming behind the scenes. That general manager Wang was the same greasy uncle who had attempted to make advances at me during the school anniversary banquet. What a despicable person. Ming Ci must have a way to deal with him. I need to seek his help, but I must ensure he doesn't feel I am taking advantage of him. I need to devise a plan that aids the Gu family without placing undue pressure on him. Gu Wanxing, listening to my thoughts, felt a wave of complexity wash over her. She hadn't expected Lin Wei to be so willing to help, nor to think so thoroughly. Actually, Gu Wanxing hesitated before speaking. You could ask Ming Ci for assistance. The Ming family wields significant influence in the business world. If he were to intervene, General Manager Wang would certainly think twice before acting brazenly. I regarded her with surprise. You don't oppose this? What good would opposition do? Gu Wanxing sighed lightly. The priority now is to resolve the crisis facing your family. Besides, I know you're not the type to exploit others. Her words warmed my heart unexpectedly. Despite her previous antagonism, Gu Wanxing seemed to possess a fundamentally good nature. Thank you, Wanxing, I said sincerely. Gu Wanxing paused, then awkwardly replied, What are you thanking me for? I'm doing this for the Gu family as well. I smiled and said nothing more, turning to seek out Ming Ci. When I found Ming Ci, he was engrossed in documents. Upon noticing my presence, he immediately set them aside and inquired, What's wrong? You don't look well. I recounted the situation with the Gu family, including General Manager Wang's actions. Ming Ci's expression darkened instantly. That General Manager, Wang, has some nerve. Can you help? I asked cautiously. If it's too much trouble, I can find another way. It's not troublesome. Ming Ci grasped my hand, his gaze resolute. Your troubles are my troubles. Don't say it's just dealing with a General Manager Wang. Even if the sky were to fall, I would stand by you. His words surged through me like a warm tide, and I felt my eyes welling up. Ming Ci is truly wonderful. I think I'm growing more fond of him. Although Ming Ci could not hear my thoughts, he seemed to sense my emotions and gently squeezed my hand. Don't worry. Leave it to me. Okay. I nodded, feeling considerably reassured. Ming Ci was remarkably efficient. The very next day, General Manager Wang proactively reached out to my father, not only apologizing but also promising to compensate for the Gu family's losses. He even retracted his pressure on other companies. Thus, the Gu family's crisis was resolved with surprising ease. My parents expressed their heartfelt gratitude to Ming Ci, and their perception of me shifted, brimming with newfound recognition and warmth. Gu Wanxing observed all of this, her heart filled with astonishment. She had never anticipated that the person she had endeavored to undermine would ultimately become the Gu family's savior. System unbinding countdown 1 hour. The cold mechanical voice resounded in Gu Wanxing's mind. She took a deep breath, feeling no trace of reluctance. During this period, she had listened to an overwhelming number of Lin Wei's thoughts through the system, gaining clarity on many people and events. She realized that true happiness is not something to be calculated, but rather something to be earned through one's own efforts. She resolved to live independently from now on, no longer casting a shadow on others or harboring jealousy towards Lin Wei. At the moment of the system's disconnection, Gu Wanxing suddenly felt a wave of lightness wash over her. She gazed at me, who was conversing with Ming Ci nearby, and a genuine smile graced her lips. Meanwhile, I was discussing weekend plans with Ming Ci. How about we go watch a movie this weekend? There's a new romantic film out that I've heard is quite good. I suggested. Sounds great, Ming Ci replied with a smile. After the movie, let us indulge in your favorite barbecue. That sounds fantastic, I exclaimed joyfully. As I beamed like a child, Ming Ci's gaze softened further. He suddenly spoke Lin Wei. I looked up at him. I like you, he said earnestly. Not in a brotherly way, but in a way that desires to be with you and care for you for a lifetime. Would you be willing to be my girlfriend? I was momentarily stunned, my heart racing and my cheeks flushed. Of course. I've been waiting for those words for so long. Though I remained silent, Ming Xiai discerned my answer in my eyes. He smiled broadly and enveloped me in a warm embrace. That's wonderful, he whispered in my ear. Sunlight streamed through the window, bathing us in warmth and beauty. Nestled in Ming Xi's arms, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, I felt a profound sense of happiness. I suddenly thought that encountering Ming Xiai in this world was perhaps the most fortunate event of my life. The news of our relationship quickly spread throughout the school. Some offered blessings, others looked on with envy, but most were simply astonished. After all, no one anticipated that the seemingly unremarkable faux heiress Lin Wei would end up with Ming Xiai, the heir of the Ming family. When Fu Xinyan learned of this, he sought me out once. I wish you happiness, he stated calmly, a hint of relief in his eyes. Thank you, Mr. Fu, I replied sincerely. From now on, call me Fu Xinyan, he said with a smile. I hope we can remain friends. Certainly, I nodded, watching Fu Xinyan's retreating figure. I realized he didn't seem so detestable anymore. Perhaps, having let go of his obsession, he could find the true happiness that belonged to him. Gu Wanqing also expressed her blessings towards us. She seemed to have changed significantly, no longer targeting me as she once did, and would occasionally initiate conversations about topics between girls. Until one day, she said to me, Lin Wei, I was wrong before, I'm sorry. I smiled and replied, it's all in the past. Our relationship appeared to have softened imperceptibly. With Ming Xi's assistance, the Gu family's business gradually regained vitality, even thriving beyond its previous state. Gu father and Gu mother grew increasingly fond of me, regarding me with the same affection they would a biological daughter. On the Ming family side, Ming Zhenxiong expressed his satisfaction with me. More than once, he remarked to Ming Xiai, Xiao Xiai, you have discerning taste. This girl, Xiao Wei, is delightful. Far better than those pampered young ladies. Ming Xiai would proudly respond, of course, just look at who made the choice. Observing their harmonious interactions warmed my heart. On the weekend, Ming Xiai took me back to the Ming family's ancestral home. The old residence was expansive, a quintessential example of traditional Chinese architecture, exuding an air of antiquity and solemnity. Ming Zhenxiong and Grandma Ming awaited us at the entrance. Grandma Ming grasped my hand, beaming widely. So this is Xiao Wei? Indeed. A lovely girl, even more beautiful than in the photographs. Hello, Grandma, I said, feeling a bit bashful. Wonderful, wonderful, Grandma Ming exclaimed. Come inside. I've prepared soup for you. That day at the Ming ancestral home, I experienced an unparalleled warmth and sense of belonging. The Ming family did not look down on me for being a faux heiress. Rather, they embraced me and treated me as part of the family. In the evening, Ming Xiai drove me home. As the car halted at the entrance of the Gu villa, he suddenly produced a small box from behind him and handed it to me. What is this? I asked, intrigued. Open it and see, he replied with a smile. I opened the box to reveal a necklace, featuring a delicately crafted pendant resembling a tiny lobster, rendered with exquisite detail. This is, I gasped, astonished. I know how much you love eating lobsters, Ming Xiai admitted, scratching his head shyly, so I had someone custom make this for you. I hope you like it. Tears welled up in my eyes as I gazed at the little lobster necklace. It was perhaps the most special and touching gift I had ever received. I absolutely adore it. Thank you, Ming Xiai, I said, throwing my arms around him tightly. Silly girl, no need for thanks, he gently patted my back. As long as you like it, I would give you anything. We embraced for a long while in the car until Gu mother called to urge me home, reluctantly parting from each other. Back in my room, I adorned myself with a lobster necklace, gazing at my reflection in the mirror, enchanted by it. Ming Chi truly understands me. How fortunate I am to have encountered him. Although Gu Wanqing's system had been unbound, I knew that even if she could still hear my thoughts, it would only be filled with blessings. Time passed swiftly, and before long it was graduation day. Ming Xiai and I donned our graduation gowns, standing in the campus with our classmates for photographs. Gu Wanqing was also present, dressed elegantly, standing beside a stranger who appeared to be a perfect match for her. This is my boyfriend, Jiang Chun, Gu Wanqing introduced us with a smile. Hello. Ming Xiai and I greeted Jiang Chun. Seeing the radiant smile on Gu Wanqing's face, I felt genuinely happy for her. She had finally found her own happiness. Fu Xinyan also attended, appearing significantly more mature, accompanied by a gentle girl. This is my sister, Fu Siyu, he introduced with a smile. We exchanged greetings and chatted a bit. The atmosphere was congenial. After the graduation ceremony, Ming Xi took my hand, and we strolled leisurely through the campus. Which university do you wish to attend? He inquired. I want to apply to University A to study screenwriting, I replied. I wish to write down our story. That sounds great, Ming Xi grinned. I'll apply to University A too, to be with you. Really? I asked, astonished. Really? He teased, playfully tapping my nose. Wherever you go, I will follow. Under the setting sun, our shadows stretched long. I glanced at Ming Xi beside me, my heart brimming with anticipation. The road ahead was still long, but I knew that as long as he was by my side, I feared nothing. I once believed that my purpose in this world was to rewrite the original owner's fate, to reclaim what belonged to me. Yet now I understand that fate had long ago, in its subtlety, arranged the best for me. The mind-reading system, the identity of the faux heiress, the misunderstandings and disputes of the past have all faded into memory. Presently, I have a loving family, the best of friends, and the one I cherish most. That is more than enough. I lifted my gaze, meeting Ming Xi's gentle eyes, and couldn't help but smile. A brand new future beckoned us. The end of the story. Thank you for listening, and we shall meet again in the next tale.